It seems Gavin Newsom is taking fire from every direction, at least according to his critics, who say his response to the California fire crisis and the LA ice riots was slow, confused, and out of touch. Public figures from Mel Gibson to Bill Maher have voiced frustration, painting him as more focused on his own image than the job at hand. But none of the criticism hit as hard as Joe Rogan's take. When he was asked about Newsom's handling of the situation, Rogan delivered a blistering opinion that quickly went viral. Take a listen.
See what's going on obviously you've seen what's going on in California, but the governor gave this creepy fucking speech where he was talking about speculators coming in and talking about what to do with the land of all these homes that have been burnt down while it's still only 6% contained. And he did this little dance like, I've been talking with these, with the governor of Hawaii about what to do. We got some ideas, a speculator, we're gonna have some meetings. Like, he's really.
Rogan's comments landed during a moment when California was struggling through major fires, and critics were already frustrated with what they saw as a lack of urgency from the governor. Whole neighborhoods were under threat, and many Californians felt leadership wasn't matching the moment. On top of that, Newsom drew more criticism when footage surfaced of him addressing investors during the crisis, which some people interpreted as tone-deaf. That only fueled the backlash. Rogan stepped in with a harsh assessment that many viewers felt echoed their own frustrations. Before we roll the clip, make sure you're subscribed if you're new to the channel. Now let's get into it.
So creepy because it's happening while these people their houses have been burned, all their childhood memorabilia, all the stuff for their kids, the photos, the fucking everything they have is gone. All heirlooms, their mother's wedding ring, that kind of shit. Everything's burnt to the ground. And this guy's like standing in front of all this stuff, and he's got a smile on his face, and he's talking about land use.
The development plans.
Watch this. Play this.
I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor of down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks.
With a big smile on his face.
Moments like this are why so many people walked away with the impression that Newsom wasn't fully connected to what his constituents were going through. Critics questioned why he appeared relaxed or smiling during press hits while families were watching their homes burn. Even if behind-the-scenes work was happening, the public-facing message didn't inspire confidence. Optics matter during a crisis, and to many Californians it looked like their governor wasn't meeting the emotional weight of the moment. Leadership isn't only about policy decisions. It's also about reassurance, visibility, and empathy. And for a lot of residents, Newsom's presence didn't feel reassuring. It felt distant.
Little wiggle he does with his shoulders. Speculator, watch this. Talking to Josh. Look at this. Look at this little wiggle. It's excited about the possibilities of speculators coming in. And he's saying, move forward. We're going to move forward on that. These people lost their homes. A lot of those people don't even have fire insurance because the fire insurance pulled out of California. I think like 69% of fire insurance pulled out of California because they're like, this is too crazy. Like, you guys aren't doing jack shit to manage this. You're not clearing the brush. The amount of money they could have saved by just clearing brush, by filling the reservoir, that 11 million gallon reservoir was completely empty during the time of full fire season. Like, why didn't you fix that?
Yeah.
Like, it's all insanely mismanaged. And then this guy is on television talking real excited about that. Doing a dance in front of the burned down home that people used to sleep in.
Rogan's frustration was obvious, and he wasn't alone. Another major talking point among critics was the state's long-standing water management issues. Some commentators argued that agricultural demands, including large almond operations, strained water reserves during peak fire seasons. Almonds are a huge part of the state's economy, but critics questioned whether priorities were balanced properly when California was dealing with repeated emergencies. To them, it felt like economic interests were placed above public safety. That's why Rogan and many others expressed anger. And as if the situation wasn't hot enough, Newsom launching his own podcast during this period drew even more criticism from people who felt his focus was misplaced.
What is Gavin Newsom really trying to do here by launching a podcast? Be the next Joe Rogan? Well, that's not going to work because the world's most successful podcaster has absolutely slammed Gavin Newsom for this, posting on X, "If the ick was a podcast." What an endorsement. Also, journalist Michael Schellenberger has taken aim at Gavin Newsom on X, saying, "You cut fire prevention, LA burned. You spent $24 billion on homelessness, it rose by 40%. You reduced penalties for violent crime. It's 31% higher in California than in the US as a whole. And instead of taking responsibility, you're trying to become an influencer. It's pathetic."
For years, opponents have accused Newsom of caring more about presentation than results, and this moment only intensified that narrative. They argue that he tends to favor camera-ready moments and national attention instead of getting into the messy, difficult work of governing. Some Democratic strategists have even floated his name for a potential presidential run, which sparked disbelief among his critics. They insist he's not prepared for such a role and warn that elevating him to the national stage wouldn't solve problems, it would create more. In their view, promoting a governor whose performance they see as inconsistent and overly polished would be a mistake.
I did get like a bizarre, I did enjoy affecting the election.
Oh, dude, imagine. I can imagine.
I did enjoy it because I didn't want to. I did not want to get involved in any way, shape, or form. But it got so weird.
Yeah, you'd express that publicly in the past.
I was like, I don't want to have nothing, and I don't want to have anything to do with it in the future. I didn't want to. I just felt sucked into it. I'm like, we can't do this again. We can't do it with these same people that fucked us for 4 years, and then they're gonna we're gonna do it differently now.
This is also why figures like Joe Rogan and Elon Musk say they've distanced themselves from certain parts of the modern left. They argue the movement has shifted away from practicality and toward rhetoric, symbolism, and performative outrage. Critics claim the party alienated moderate voices by leaning too heavily into ideological battles rather than focusing on workable solutions. And when leaders like Newsom and AOC become the most recognizable faces of the movement, it feeds the perception that the party is drifting into territory that everyday voters don't recognize. According to these critics, the left hasn't just lost political ground. It's lost trust.
Anti-ICE protests erupting across Los Angeles and major blue cities over the weekend. President Trump not backing down on his illegal immigration crackdown, particularly when it comes to criminality. He posted on Truth Social about the expansion of efforts to detain and deport illegals in big blue cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York.
Another major flashpoint came when federal immigration enforcement operations began in several major cities. Most cities carried out the process smoothly, but in California the situation escalated quickly, leading to clashes, looting, and property damage. Critics argued that Newsom didn't act decisively during the unrest and seemed hesitant to intervene, framing his response as more symbolic than practical. The federal government eventually brought in the National Guard, and Newsom's response came through social media rather than a firm public address. To his critics, this reinforced the belief that he prioritizes image over direct action. And yet some within the party continue to elevate him as a future national leader.
Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, claimed today that Donald Trump has not called him, not even left a voicemail. He also said Americans should be alarmed that a president deploying Marines onto our streets doesn't even know who he's talking to. That's what Newsom claimed. That prompted Donald Trump to show the receipts.
He said the first call to Gavin Newsom was not picked up. The second call Gavin picked up. We spoke for 16 minutes. I told him to essentially, quote, and this is quoting the president, get his ass in gear and stop the riots, which were out of control more than anything else. This shows what a liar he is. Said I never called. So here is the evidence. And here is the call log that the president sent me from his phone. This was June the 7th.
Oh, there's so much to unpack there, but let's start off with how does the governor forget a 16-minute phone call with the president?
Then came another point of controversy. Questions about communication between Newsom and President Trump during the National Guard deployment. Trump released call logs showing a conversation between them, and his supporters used this to challenge media narratives that suggested otherwise. Critics accused Newsom of being unclear or misleading about what happened, while supporters said the situation was exaggerated for political gain. Either way, the controversy added more fuel to the ongoing arguments about transparency and leadership. And for many outside California, these moments served as a warning to look closely at the full picture before embracing anyone as a potential national figure.
Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear they're unable to respond effectively and responsibly during calamity. And I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office? How much more of their destructive decision-making masquerading as leadership are we going to tolerate? It's time to take back our community and our state and put the power and the privilege in the hands of competent leaders whose goals are to protect us and the way of life this nation was founded upon.
As frustrations continue to rise, more voices across the political spectrum are calling for Newsom to step aside. Critics point to issues like the wildfire response, housing struggles, and crime concerns as signs that California needs a different kind of leadership. The almond water debate became a symbol for what opponents see as misplaced priorities, and they argue that the state can't afford more missteps. They say Californians trusted him and many now feel let down. Some Democrats continue to push him toward a presidential path, but his critics warn that such a move could bring California's problems onto a national stage. And with that, we'll wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed the commentary, hit like and subscribe for more deep dives. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.